Hello, my name is Fred Hall, and I'd like to welcome you to the Sedona Wolf Week presentation of the Mountain Lion Foundation. If you're wondering how mountain lions are relevant to wolves, let me explain. In California, mountain lion hunting ended in 1972 with a law signed by then Governor Ronald Reagan. In 1990, with Proposition 117, the hunting ban was made permanent. But even without sport hunting, we saw that a great number of lions continued to be killed under depredation permits for taking pets and livestock on the urban fringe. We found that taking steps to protect pets and livestock from lions and other predators not only keeps these animals safe, the predator is also kept safe from a depredation permit. And without an easy source of human-provided food, the predator will move on. The type of pen we are showing today is inexpensive in both materials and labor and can be assembled by just 2 people in a relatively short period of time. Our pen is composed of a 10-foot by 10-foot commercially available dog kennel and is reinforced to prevent mountain lions from entering through the top. And for this example, we'll show how it can be modified to keep wolves and other animals from gaining entry by digging. Once put up, these pens have protected alpaca, turkeys, chickens, goats, sheep, and other animals from subsequent attacks. And we know they are lion-proof, as we've seen mountain lion footprints around the pens after they were installed. We'd planned a hands-on pen build during Wolf Week, but due to the change to a virtual venue, we made a short film showing how easy it is to put together one of our low-cost, easy-to-assemble pens. So please join us in watching this short 20-minute video. We'll have a question and answer session afterwards, where we'll have an opportunity to learn from each other's experience, and there will be a drawing where you'll have a chance to win a pen kit of your own. We'll start the movie now. In this installment of the Mountain Lion Foundation's Living with Lions series, we show the construction of a low-cost pen to protect pets and livestock. Taking steps to protect pets and livestock from predators not only keeps these animals safe, the predator is also kept safe from a depredation permit. And without an easy source of human-provided food, the predator will move on. The pen type we are showing today is an inexpensive pen in both materials and labor. Composed of a 10 by 10 commercially available dog kennel, it is reinforced to prevent mountain lions from entering through the top, and in this example, modified to keep wolves and other animals from gaining entry by digging as well. This pen is made from easy-to-handle materials and can be assembled by just 2 people in a relatively short period of time. So pick up, to keep it square, we'll start with 2 this way. Pull the wire in tight if you can. Don't want to pull it too far like that, but it will. You can make sure you're not lined up all the way down, that you can pull a little bit to pull things into place. Get it tensioned right. Okay, we're going to set one post here now that we've positioned where we want the pen to be, and we'll just put in one first to make sure that it'll go in. And then also we want to make sure we have the walls kind of for the proper positioning, because this roof is a slightly different dimension than the panels. We want to make sure we're hitting the four corners exactly. And the other thing I do with the T-post is to take the ridge side and put it on the outside, pointing outside at the 45-degree angle. That way the two horse panels can fit in closely against it, and this will hold a zip tie and lock it all together. One thing to be aware of if you're doing this for yourself or any other animals is the hazard of the zip ties or small cut-off pieces of metal if you're using the wire ties. The animals will pick them up with their food and it'll kill the animal. So if you're using metal, at Harbor Freight, you can pick up a roll-around magnetic tool for picking up nails for roofers. That's a good idea to use if you're going to use metal, just to run a magnet everywhere to make sure you haven't dropped anything the animal's going to pick up. And with the zip ties, if you go ahead and do it just in one area as opposed to when you go along, and also at the end, if you go ahead and double check, you can be much safer. For the initial positioning, we just go ahead and zip tie everything into place. We'll bring in the other one, zip tie it to this as we did on the other corner. And at that point, we'll make sure we don't have a trapezoid, that we actually have a square. We'll do our final measurement before setting the last two posts and go on from there. We go ahead and put the chain link on the outside of the frame, or the chain link facing the strongest force. So in this case, we'll be protecting fowl. They're not going to push too hard against the chain link again, relative to a dog or a coyote. But if you had something really heavy inside, like alpacas or goats, you may want to put it up the other way so they can't push out. But in either event, the fencing is held on pretty well at all positions. Okay, I'm at 172 inches. And 170 inches. So I'll go about 1 inch that way. And we'll go to the other corner again. Okay, I'm at exactly 171. And let's try it the other way. And right around to 171. So we are close enough to square. Well, it's a sturdier one. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice when we do this pen is that the roof is 10 by 10, as are all four panels. So there's about 10 foot 3 inches in one direction and 10 foot in the other because of the depth of the panels. So you want to make sure that you have your outside, the inside panel in, knowing which way you're going to run along, because you want to run along on the peak so you can kind of come down with the cable. In this case, what we'll go ahead is we'll take the non-door panels and set them slightly inside, because you'll see that in this plane it's going to be 10 feet plus this distance. And this section, each panel is 10 feet. So if we go ahead and put the door panel and the panel opposite the door on the outside, the roof will run 10 feet to here, and we can go ahead and use the extra little bit of wire to come out like that and pick up the extra distance, because the roof will end right here as well. Now the fence kit comes with 2 clamps per corner, and in this particular case we're going to put the 2 clamps at the top and use wire on the bottom, since we have a T-post in place, and that'll make it stronger than it originally came. And so you just go ahead and put these through. Usually works best with one person on each side. And then, or you can kind of reach through sometimes. And got your finger on them. And the other trick that we didn't do today is to get a deep socket as opposed to the short one. And these you can take fully tight now because they will move around even when they're tight, so you do have wiggle room for final adjustment. So we're just going to do up all four corners, then we'll come back and wire the bottom. If you take a board and put it on each corner like this, it'll serve as a support for the roof while you're setting it on with two people. And as you're clamping it on, you can take out a board at a time and it won't drop on you. And it has a bit of weight when it drops in your face. Voice of experience. And what we'll do is we get this first part over, and then I hop into the inside and move it the rest of the way. No, leave it. There it is. Keep it low. I just want to bend this out a bit so we don't grab it as it goes by. And stop anytime you want to. You kind of loosely square it up. And then over in the roofing kit, so we have, let's see, 6 sets of clamps, 3 on each side. Again, this is a good time to have the correct size deep socket wrench, which we do not. And another pointer, don't leave these out in the hot sun. Yeah, can't touch them. So again, with one person on the inside feeding you, it goes much faster. We'll get these first fairly close, and we'll tighten them up finally later, and do the 2 middle ones first, then you have some wiggle room for the ends. So let's go to the opposite side, and then it won't fall. Okay, so what we're doing now is pulling the end pieces in tight, tying them into here, then we'll come back through and cut and fold to get everything ship-shape. Once you've folded everything down, have it positioned, go ahead and zip tie it about every foot, and then you can go ahead and cut and bend things up to kind of clear up this line here and make it look good, and make sure there are no sharp edges here where the person's going to be coming and going, or the animals are coming and going. You just work through like that just to make sure you have no sharp edges. Anybody's going to come across there. Everything's flipped back through. And just wanted to point out again that in policing the area to make sure the little animals don't get a hold of anything, look for all the little pieces of metal like that. If you're using metal, again, this is a good reason to use a magnet. And go around for that. You can kind of see them all over here. When you get carried away, you get carried away, so I had to make a few passes through. And over here we have more of these. So. And over there too, clamps. You can also use heavy 12-gauge wire to lock everything in place if you don't want to use zip ties. This is a little more time consuming, but it's really good and strong. I think it's about, I'm not sure how many pounds pull on these to break it. it is an option when you want it to be super sturdy. And go ahead and usually double wrap it. And this is one of those annoying places where gloves are good, but they can't really work if you have them on. So, if you have fence pliers, these are ideal for bending wire like this. And otherwise, they're not as easy to use as the regular little dikes. Just go ahead and grab it, then start twisting, making sure you're getting both the twist. Hold tight, pull in the rest of the slack. If you twist too hard, it'll break off, so you have to be careful of that. And then just cut off where you can on this. Again, one of those little loose pieces. And be very careful when you're done these to make sure that you always bend them in so that nothing can catch when they're going by, either an animal or your own leg. So you fold them back in on themselves. And that's one of the drawbacks of this wire is it's so sharp. You have to be very sure that you haven't got anything that can grab anybody walking by. So in comparison to the zip ties, you can see how much faster they are. There you are. For animals that dig, there are 3 different approaches you can use with wire to keep them from digging. One, that way, is you could lay a perimeter around the outside like this, tying it to the frame, and just throwing a layer of dirt over it. It should keep anything from coming up. They're going to dig, they're going to work their way back, they won't figure it out. Another option is to trench all the way down a couple of feet. Just stand this vertically. You can dig down a couple of feet, drop this into the ground straight down or at an angle, and then attach 2 feet below or 3 feet below, and just attach it here as it comes up. That would make another perimeter. The easiest way, what we're going to do today, is take the wire inside the cage, or the pin rather. So, and then what we would do here is just go ahead and lay it down in the base of the cage on the floor and attach it all the way around. Depending on the type of animal you have, they may foul their feet. The bedding may be an issue to take care of, or the litter. It may be difficult to clean. So you may or may not want to use that depending on the type of animal you have. Maybe I'll just set that down. So some people have done with goats is they've used rubber mats, rubber horse mat, and they've gone ahead and set those down in here with or without the wire underneath. They're too heavy for an animal to come up and through. Some animals may eat that. You may have a difficulty with that. Some may chew, some may just make a mess of it. But it does leave a clean surface, to hose out, depending on the type of animal you have. So we picked up some high-density foam mats. There's a 10x10 package you can get at Tractor Supply for $49. We'll go ahead and lay that in here and show you how it looks. Okay, these are the interlocking mats that come in a set of 5, which covers the 10x10 area. And they're a high-density foam. They're pretty thick. The horse mats are hard rubber. They're much heavier, much more expensive than the $49. But they're also out of stock right now due to COVID because everybody's doing a home gym and putting these down at home. So anyway, you have the wire down, you set this in, and you end up with a finished washable floor. So this is a 10x10 tarp that comes with the kit, which we get to dance over the top of it. And being 10x10, that means that Won't fit exactly. Give you a little handle. You good? Okay. So let's try and snake it over the top. Another thing to be aware of with large predators is this particular hasp may not be strong enough to keep out a mountain lion or a frightened animal if there's a large predator around. So we recommend always locking with a piece of chain, doesn't need to be too heavy, and using a screw link as opposed to a carabiner. And that way, should this fail, at 400 and some pounds, everything's safe. This is Fred. I'm about a minute off on the Sedona things.
Hi, Fred.
Hello there.
We got an important phone call coming in right as you're going live.
I know, but I'm off of it now.
That's okay. Such is life. Welcome to Sedona Wolf Week. We're so thrilled to have Mountain Lion Foundation with us this year.
It's great to be here.
Yes, absolutely. We love wolves, but we also love all of our native carnivores, and they all deserve to be protected because they're all essential to our ecosystem. So welcome. So as you know, we're going to do a predator pen giveaway, but before we go there, let's talk a little bit about mountain lions. I know most of your video was about putting the pen together, but I don't know if you want to share a little bit about your organization and how people can help Mountain Lion Foundation. Take it away.
Well, sure. We have a wealth of information about mountain lions and protecting your pets and livestock at mountainlion.org. And similar to dealing with wolves and coyotes, we've discovered that the best way to keep them safe is to keep people's pets and livestock safe from predators. It's just, we've cut back a lot on the depredation permits in California, but outside of California, it's basically a death sentence for any predator that is attracted to somebody's, their pet, their hobby farm, or their livestock. And so by protecting those animals, we found that's the best way to protect the mountain lions. And the low-cost pen that we showed today is something somebody can put up quickly when they've had an incident to kind of make sure that the food source is taken away going forward, and the mountain lion or other animals should just move on because they're not going to waste energy where they can't eat. They're on a mission and they're just going to move on. So that's been our success, and we've discovered that they work really well. In Malibu, we put up 4 of them together to protect a number of alpaca. And this particular size pen gets around building permits in areas where they're very picky about what you can and can't put on your property. It's small enough, and you can put a few of them together. And also, it's not really resource intensive in terms of the number of people that it takes to put it together too. We've had some larger pen builds, but when you end up having to have a lot of materials and 20 people all day long, it's a whole different game. So that's
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah. And what I love about your website is anyone can go there and the plans are all laid out, everything you need. And there's a couple options too, correct?
mhm, there are. We have the ones if you'd like to spend some time building something heavy that's there forever, down on through, doing something like this that's fairly light. And so there's any of the steps in between, depending on what type of animal you have. If you have a number of pigs, this one wouldn't necessarily be as good for large pigs. They might bump against it, so you'd have to go something a little heavier with a heavier gauge chain link and pipes and framing. So you have a lot of options covered.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, everything is laid out, details, plans, materials needed, what you need to buy, tools. It could not be simpler to create something that protects your animals and allows a mountain lion to be a mountain lion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I always tell people. We live here in Arizona, and we have all kinds of wildlife coming through our yard.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, the majority of people on places like Facebook or next door understand predators are predators. And
Mm-hmm.
it's our job to protect our pets and our animals. It's not the predator's job to learn how not to be a predator.
Mm-hmm.
So, bring your cats in. Actually, we don't even let our cats out, but keep an eye on your animals and use the tools that some like what you guys have put together for people. It's incredible. It's great. Um, Looks like we have a couple questions. Oh, we have a comment. I love the safety measures you've included to pick up all nails and zip ties to keep all the animals safe.
Yeah, I learned that one a million years ago, helping a friend move a house across somebody's pasture. And they were very, very expensive longhorn cattle that were used in advertisements in movies. And they made very sure that we covered the whole field with magnets, afterwards, running back and forth just to make sure nothing fell off the old house. So kind of kept that in mind, and that, wire and staples and zip ties are maybe amusing, but not healthy.
Absolutely. No, you've got a lot of great comments on that about taking care of animals and the safety of them. In terms of what inspired actually the Mountain Lion Foundation to create these pens, I mean, obviously the to try and stem depredations, but the concept itself.
The concept itself went back quite a ways with some of the larger pens, and we had partnered with the 4-H,
Okay.
and worked with a number of groups that way, and working also with the local UC Davis, which is the agricultural extension, and trying to put together. They're working on a module for animal husbandry and protecting your pets from and livestock rather from predators, as one of the modules on being a good caretaker for your animals. And so we've been kind of partnered with 4-H on that for quite a while, and then we've been using it as an emergency response where it's necessary, where in Southern California in particular, where there's very impacted populations of lions, and we can't afford to lose any of the genetic material that they represent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love that you're working with 4-H groups because there is a common theme that we've heard through some of these presentations about children being our future. And, I'm making the assumption that we're talking about young adults or younger children when we talk about 4-H, which I was a member of, by the way back when. And so it's really wonderful that you're sharing that experience with them so that they learn that coexistence is possible with our natural predators.
Yes.
In terms of advocacy efforts or anything else that any action alerts or anything that you can give people, we'll make sure we put the website in the comments of the post here. But is there anything anyone can do to help you right now?
Well, just if you can sign up for newsletters from us and stay involved that way. And since everybody is from a number of different locations, if you come across something that's going on in terms at the county level or the state level with legislation, perhaps renewing of an APHIS contract for predator control, or any opportunities we have to try and work with an organization, 4-H or at the county or state level, to promote predator-friendly practices, and let us know that way, and we can become engaged outside of California, we're fairly active right now in Utah, Washington, and Oregon, and some other places through monitoring what's going on. And the best way is just basically to sign up and engage in the back and forth about what we can all do on the ground to protect mountain lions and other predators, since they're under attack from so many fronts.
Yes, absolutely they are.